Okay, we're live. Whenever you're ready.
I'm sharing it.
Sharing what? Oh,
The video.
sharing is caring. I was just like, we went live and then you got so quiet. I was like, did JD disappear?
Yeah, just posting our sexy sode. Oh, sorry to future people watching this stream that you just had to listen to the 30 seconds of silence. You're never going to get that back.
Seconds. We're not going to fix it either, so deal with it.
No, that's just going to be on the actual main podcast too.
Yeah.
Start it with dead air. Okay. This week's so news is too brief to list 3 things. The real thing you need to know about is Sext Fest. Yeah, you heard that right. This time around for Next Fest, we only played the sex games. You're going to hate it. You just logged into the 3-Bit Gamer Show. Welcome to the 3-Bit Gamer Show. I'm JD.
And this is Peterson.
Get used to it. That's the whole episode.
It was. Yeah. It'll be great. You guys are going to love it. /hate. I don't know. I hate it a little bit, but I do. You know, it's going to be fun.
Back in the early days of this podcast, one of our biggest fans was a listener who was like a child. He was like 12.
Oh, I forgot about Atticus.
I like to think that the podcast matured at about Atticus's rate. Because now he'd be like 18. He can get into an R-rated movie without a parent. He can sign up to watch pornography.
Now it would be appropriate for him to listen.
Now he's listening to the new, darker, more mature 3-Bit Gamer Show in which we spend an entire episode dedicated to sex games. And now, a word from our sponsor. Live from the 3-Bit Gamer Show. The news. All right. Our news this week is brought to us by our sponsor, Crave Cookies. Family-friendly cookie shop.
Just keep going. I'm doing something.
Okay. While Peterson looks up more sex noises, I will tell you a little bit about Crave Cookies, which is a fantastic cookie shop. You can see all of their cookies on cravecookies.com, and they rotate the menu every week. Every new Friday, we get a new menu. But we tell you early. You're like, it's not Friday, it's Tuesday. Exactly. You're going to hear next Friday's menu. So coming up on the Crave Cookies menu, we are still doing the Carmelita. It is the last week of the Carmelita. So if you like that oatmeal deliciousness, you got to get in now. Also, the pumpkin spice cheesecake. Now, I was involved in the early testing phases of this cookie and can tell you, it is one of the best Crave cookies I've ever had. It is absolutely phenomenal. We make these little cheesecake nuggets in the mixer. It's like cheesecake, or it's like cream cheese and like whipping cream and all this all this sugar and stuff. And we put those in ice cream molds and freeze them overnight. And then we put them in the dough in the cookie, and then we bake them. And you guys, It is special. So the pumpkin spice cheesecake, the trick or treat, I don't know what that is. Either you get a cookie or he punch you in the stomach. Cookies and cream Kit Kat sounds fucking amazing.
Cookies and cream Kit Kat. I'm on board. Yep.
So you're going to get, like, I assume the vanilla base cookie with Oreos in it and then a Kit Kat in the middle. Down. And then the cup of dirt cookie's back. He has like a gummy worm on your chocolate.
Does it have a gummy worm on top?
Yes, sir, it does. I think it's a couple of gummy worms. Might be more than one. Anyway, the next week's menu is spot on for Halloween. Get down there, check it out, and get your cookie on.
And I'm going to play this clip just because this is the week that we're doing. Are you tired of the same old thing? Here at Crave Cookies, I know we are. That's why we've started our new sexier cookie line. With new cookies like the Sugar Daddy, the Milk Jug, the Chocolate Starfish, and the Hot Carl. You don't just crave these hot bursting cookies, you're horny for them. Try our new Horned Up line only at Crave and only after 10. Don't get old sex, get cookies.
How the fuck did you just have that?
You don't remember?
How do we have that?
You said don't get old sex, get cookies, and I had to make a commercial. Approved by Crave Cookies.
We have done this podcast for far too long. Our well of random clips, songs, and bullshit is so deep.
It's so deep that I had to look for that for a while. I have a file with all my podcast stuff on it. It took a minute.
Oh, man, that is fantastic. Game Freak was hacked and the source code for Pokemon games have been leaked.
Buckle up. This is the biggest news story this week. So
this is it. You're like, oh, okay. That's your lead. Yes, that is the lead story. I don't know. Maybe it's a big deal. The source code for Pokemon Platinum, Pokemon Heart Gold, and Soul Silver, beta builds for Pokemon Black and White 2, beta builds for Pokemon X and Y, and internal code names for upcoming Pokemon projects, including, I believe, the code name for the Nintendo Switch 2, were all leaked in this hack. Which was
the one that's code name is Ounce?
I believe so, yes.
The weirdest code name that anyone has ever come up with.
That's why I didn't mention it. I thought all the listeners would be like, I wonder what it is. It must have been so cool he didn't bring it up. And then their imagination could have made up a cooler name than Ounce.
Ounce. Pokemon Ounce.
But now you guys all know it was Ounce. It's not great.
It's the hacking-based game.
I know, right? This is a phishing attempt. A phishing attempt on a Nintendo dev portal user. So someone got shit canned.
Mm-hmm.
Someone plugged in a flash drive they found in the
every now and then it works. That's why they keep doing it.
That's why you throw them in the parking lot. Game Freak has acknowledged this hack, and it was a massive data breach. And their biggest concern, which is kind of nice, is the employee information that was now available online as part of it. They just dumped everything. I don't think they scraped anything out of it. They're like source code and like a grip of HR files that lists where everyone lives in Tokyo or whatever. Like, cool. I don't know. So they're trying to rectify that. But they said that this is a statement that came out of the company last Sunday. They claimed that over 2,000 pieces of employee information were stolen from the company. So I guess if you work for Nintendo, I don't think anyone that's digging through this shit gives any fucks about that. All they care about is the source code for all these Pokemon
Yeah, all they
games.
care about is
I don't care about where the character artist takes his paychecks.
I don't know. Maybe we'll go get some. We're gonna go rough them up, get more information out of them. Tell me about Pokemon Heart Gold. Tell me about it. It's like I don't even work on that one. I don't know. I'm just the HR guy. I think the big news coming out of this though is just the amount of Pokemon games that are like exist in some fashion. A lot of these are a ways out, but that's quite a few things.
These are old, very old. So, Platinum is very old.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's the good news. I mean, we know there's Pokemon stuff in the works, and like you said, there's source code for some old stuff, which could be interesting.
Maybe we'll see some dope mods online.
That's what I'm saying. Like you might see some interesting stuff based off of that,
or they'll find cool things hiding in the source code. You never know.
I love it when they do that. So,
League of Legends is getting another $250 skin. Wait, did you say another? Is this not the first one? I wrote this headline, then I scrolled through our news by like 3 months.
Oh my gosh,
they released a $450.
I vaguely remember that
$450 like skin pack. I was like, we reported. I was like, good God. Gnarly. So this is a skin for Jinx, and man, it actually sounds worse than the headline. I thought the headline was like, oh, $250 seems crazy. They just like pull out a credit card and slap that down, and like the charge comes up on like Riot Games, and you're like, yeah, that's cool. That's cool part of my credit card bill. This skin comes with 2 new models across 3 different forms and a new voiceover. If you're familiar with the
That's
DJ
worth it.
Sona skin, it's kind of like that, where she could like switch
Yeah.
what her skin was mid skin, which is kind of cool. $250, cool. I don't know,
No.
but they say this quote was sweet. This is from Riot, and they're bragging, they're glossing themselves on this skin. They think it's so cool. Can I remind you guys, this game is 15 years old. It has had 1 makeover, to my knowledge, and it was pretty minor. And the major thing they do, they have removed more game modes than they've made. And to my knowledge, the main thing they do is make skins for their own unupdated game. They have thousands of employees. They make billions of dollars doing it. And they treat it like they're putting a man on the moon.
Yeah.
They act like they are like, I was like, you guys are doing like the literal bare minimum of any game developer. And you treat it like it's and your esports scene is nowhere near its zenith that it was like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it used to be huge. Now
Your whole genre is on the decline, and this is what they say is a result. This whole thing is a result of this is what happens when we let our teams cook, pushing our design and tech capabilities to make the best possible skin for each champion's unique fantasy within a specific theme.
Like, here's the thing.
Congrats, I guess.
Yeah, are they trying to say like this took a lot of work?
Maybe you could submit this for an Emmy award. I don't know.
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of design.
There is some award you guys deserve for this single skin that you're charging $250 for. But wait, no, it's not charging $250. You get this skin via the newly added Sanctum system. Sanctum system is a spinner gambling system. They call it the Sanctum system, so it doesn't sound so vile.
So it doesn't sound.
Well,
I mean,
instead of having a base price for the skin, you use Ancient Sparks, which are a new premium currency. There's a new premium currency just for gambling, and you pull trying to roll this Jinx skin, and there's other things. So obviously, you get these the consolation prizes. But Ancient Sparks, the lowest is 400, or the lowest amount is 400, and Riot points. So you use one of their premium currencies to buy another premium currency, which is $5, which is the lowest bundle you can get. So you spend $5 to buy RP, you convert your RP into Ancient Sparks, and then you spend your Ancient Sparks on a spinner. And then if you are lucky, the spinner comes up with the Jinx skin you want.
you will not.
And
be
the
lucky.
way they hit $250 is because that's like the bad luck pull protection is what it's called. So after you pull 80 times, you spend 32,000 Riot points. That's when it'll finally give you the skin that you wanted, and that comes out to $250.
Ooh, I hate this. What are they? What
isn't that even worse than the $450 skin bundle we reported on?
That is worse. Like you were right. That's
worse.
Worse.
And this is why sometimes you guys hear us report on silly shit that's like, huh, that's a kind of a non sequitur story. It's just kind of like a random pull. No, it's a larger narrative. And we know this shit's coming, and that's why we highlight it, because when you start doing this, when you take that first hit of meth, you only have one option: more meth.
What can we do to get more of that meth? I need
There's
that high.
This famous story on Reddit. This guy was like, he posts on the drug subreddit, which is exactly what you think it is. It's people being like, hey, should I do this drug? And people are like, yeah, but just don't do this. And he posts on the drug subreddit, says, I think I'm going to try heroin. And everyone's like, don't do that. And he's like, I think I can just do it once. And then like over 8 months, this guy's posts, he just posts his life falling apart as he loses everything because he's doing heroin. That's what Riot is.
That's
They're on the train, and there's no stopping now. Just buy your Ancient Sparks, shoot them into your Sanctum system, and hit that spinner.
Dude, next poll's gonna get it. That's the thing. Next poll's getting
One
it.
more
Next
poll, dude.
poll's
One
getting
more,
it.
just one more poll.
Here's the thing, too. When you said they added a new currency, so I have been onto the Riot Games, like the League of Legends, whatever it is, their system. So
Yeah.
I've been onto their game, and like the menu system is so confusing. There's
Yeah.
so many things going on with other currencies. There's probably already 4 or 5 currencies on there. And
Mhm.
it's hard to even figure out what's happening. So, that they're adding another one in I don't like any of
And you
this.
use one currency to pay for it. It's
No.
it's pretty bleak, dude.
Oof.
Project 007 is, quote, young Bond for gamers and hopefully the start of a new trilogy, according to the CEO of IO Interactive.
Okay.
Dude, you thought the news was thin before? You're like, oh, League of Legends skin. Shouldn't that be a riblets? You have no idea. No idea.
The riblets are so bad this week.
The riblets are literally down to the bone. No sauce.
We're just
riblets.
gonna read a headline, and there's literally nothing else to say about it.
So this one is what we've got. Project 007. I was unaware that this game was under development by IO Interactive. These are the guys behind like all of the Hitman games, and also, if you remember the early 2000s Xbox 360, the Kane and Lynch games, those co-op games.
Yeah.
You remember that, don't you? I don't know why that game. They only made 2 of them.
I just remembered it right now when you said that,
and they weren't that good. But you're like, yeah, I don't know why those are stuck in my memory. Kane and Lynch. So this was the CEO, Hakan Abrak.
Nailed it.
There's no way that's what it said. That's how you say that. He was talking to IGN because they're working on a new James Bond game. Now, the last game that came out that IO Interactive worked on was Hitman 3, which was, I think, 2021. And dude, I don't know why this wasn't even on my radar, but I guess it got rave reviews. People fucking loved Hitman 3.
I think I do remember that coming out, but that's just not my type of game.
No, and then maybe that's why it wasn't on my radar. But
yeah.
So these guys, I guess what I'm getting at is like, if I hear a studio's making a 007 game or James Bond game, I'm like, well, we've had one good one, and it was back in 1997, and ever since everyone has sucked or been middling at best. But yeah, let's see it go nuts. But dude, the guys that made Hitman, which has got quite the pedigree, and the more recent games they've made have been bangers. I'm kind of optimistic. So here are some quotes from Hakan Abrak about the game, and he says it will feature a James Bond origin story.
Okay.
Always love an origin story. I always got to see Peter Parker get bit by that spider, right?
Got to see Uncle Ben die.
Not a Spider-Man movie if I don't have a dead uncle. Said the production is going, quote, amazingly well.
I like to hear that.
I feel like you don't hear that a lot. CEOs are usually like, yeah, it's coming along.
Yeah.
Or like, we're making progress. But amazingly well is
if it's not doing well, they won't say amazingly well unless this guy's just a huge scumbag, which there is a 75% chance that's the case.
He's the CEO. We already said that. Yeah. He said, quote, so it's not a gamification of a movie. It's completely beginning and becoming a story, hopefully for a big trilogy out there in the future. And it's a new Bond.
That's where he jinxed. That's the jinx.
He jinxed it. Yeah.
So you were like, I'm feeling optimistic. And I was like, why'd you say trilogy?
Might make 3 games. Might make 7.
You can't.
This might be the new Call of Duty.
You can't say any of that.
This might be a WoW killer. I can't say.
You don't say any of that. You just say we're making this game. We're hoping it really does well. That's it. Don't jinx it by saying start of a trilogy. Game's dead in the water, guaranteed. I hate to say it, but yeah.
He said it's a Bond they built from the ground up for gamers. So I love that kind of thing because if you think about it, you're like, okay, who is James Bond? Well, depending on when you were born, that question is very different.
Yeah.
If you were born in like the 70s or 80s, you're like, oh, he's a guy that loves dumb gadgets and cornball jokes, and he loves pussy. If you were born in like 2000, you're like, oh, he's like this parkour serious guy. He really buries down his emotions and doesn't talk a lot, and he's blonde.
And he
If you were
bangs
born,
chicks.
if you were born in like the 40s, your James Bond is a rapist. So I think getting a new Bond for gamers is a good call. And I think who knows what he's going to be. I mean, you wouldn't want this. Is he going to be stealthy? Is he going to be, sometimes like the Pierce Brosnan James Bond would steal a tank and shoot a fucking tank at a train.
And then probably shoot himself out of the tank somehow.
Like a clown.
Yeah.
That guy was fucking nuts. But the Daniel Craig one, like his cue was like, here's a gun and a watch. And he's like, that's fine.
What does it do? And he's like, what are you talking about? What does it do?
It's a fucking watch.
We have cell phones now.
You time
do everything. Like, I don't just use your cell phone.
Yeah, your cell phone knows everything all those other gadgets used to do. Just use your cell phone.
He's like, what about like squirting oil? And he's like, bro,
Yep.
squirting oil? Like, wait, that doesn't do anything. We know that's dumb.
If you need to turn your cell phone into a bomb, just hit it with a hammer and rupture the battery. There you go. Done. You got everything you need, buddy.
Seriously, cell phone. Just stick with the phone.
I don't know. This could be good. I feel like we've been chasing the James Bond high since 1997.
Yeah.
It's been a long, long time. 27 years.
I think we've even talked about it in like way early on in the podcast where we were like, what do they like? Why don't we have more James Bond games?
Right.
I will just say, because every time I think about James Bond, I have to bring this up. I am so sad that they didn't make Idris Elba James Bond at any point because I love him.
It's too late now.
He's too old now. Like, it wouldn't work. And he, like, in his prime, he was so good looking. Like, he would have done an amazing job. And the other thing, and look, this isn't typically my bag. I'm not usually in for like the gender bender stuff. But at one point, I kind of would like to have seen a Jamie Bond, a female Bond. No, but I don't think that's too late. I don't even know.
Here's the thing. Can we get a Jamie Bond who is equally lecherous and inappropriate?
She has to be just like the rest of them, uber skank. Like,
and she's constantly like talking. She's making dick jokes. All the time, inappropriate dick jokes. She's got like a secretary that she flirts with, very meek, very quiet, reserved.
Name is like Ballsack McBoner or something.
Yeah, Ballsack McBoner. I mean, that's not any weirder than Octopussy.
Yeah,
sorry,
and
it's just not, or Pussy Galore. Are you fucking serious?
Pussy Galore.
That's literally the name of one of the Bond girls. Like, are we?
It has to have
Balls McSag. That's like what we're doing here.
That's honestly, I don't want a full series. I don't want a Daniel Craig amount of movies with that, but I do want one.
I want at least one Balls.
I want
McSag.
Jamie Bond with a Balls McSag as the bad guy, and she is just banging dudes. Like, she meets a secretary or like it's like some guy, and she's like, this
and
is
he's
happening.
like, oh, I'm married. I'm not really in it. And then the next scene, she's just dry humping his leg. And everyone's like, yeah, that's Jamie Bond. She likes her martini shaken, not stirred. What's fucking wrong with that?
Yeah, that's Jamie. Everyone knows her.
Bond. Jamie Bond.
I'm sorry to inform you. Welcome to another company reset. Hope you've updated your resume. You've just been laid off.
Just one layoff, but we're going to play the whole song anyway because we got some time to fill.
Plus, that's my life right now because Boeing's laying everybody off. So this is great. So, yeah.
When Peterson gets laid off, we're going to do a whole thing for him. It's going to be fun.
We're going to play this song while I cry.
I got laid off.
Hate this song.
It's me now. Riot has laid off more League of Legends developers while promising to increase team size. So the translation is they're laying off salaried employees, replacing them with temps that they can work to the bone, and celebrating it as a win. They laid, if you guys have forgotten, because there's been quite a few layoffs. They laid off, Riot Games laid off 530 people back in January, so just like 9 months ago. They couldn't even wait. They could not even wait till 2025 to get this one out. They just had to do it. Couldn't spread it out over 12 months. It wasn't enough. A lot of the roles, by the way, these were not just like, oh, we fired a bunch of QA, which I'm sure they did. But these are big names like 3D character artists, product owners, animators, film producers, game producers, VFX artists, UX designers, bunch of like known people.
Well, the crazy part is like that sounds like people making skins and people working on Arcane. Like
one of the people that made the $430 RE skin was laid off.
Well,
so I don't understand. And the fact that we were just talking about this guy saying
sold terribly.
This is what happens when we let people cook. They make these great skins and then we lay them off. It's great. It's the smartest thing ever.
Yeah.
Fan-fucking-tastic. CEO, I guess co-CEO, Mark Merrill laid this out on Twitter. Some good quotes from our boy Mark here. Quote, we made changes to our teams and how we work to make sure we can keep improving the league experience now and for the long term. Okay. This isn't about reducing headcount to save money. It's about making sure we have the right expertise so that league continues to be great for another 15 years and beyond. So I love this. I love when they lay you off and then they kick you when you're already down. And they say, like, we're doing this because it was shitty before, and the people working for us didn't have the right expertise to improve Riot for another 15 years. Rude and needless. Fuck you. Who is this for? Fuck off. That's mean. Says, quote, while team effectiveness is more important than team size, the league team will eventually be even larger than it is today as we develop the next phase of league. Fuck you, man. What does that even mean? Why spend so much money to buy Twitter premium so you could post this big long post and say nothing? What the fuck?
That's what they do. They're good at that.
The one thing I will give credit for, because it is pretty fucking fantastic, is that they are giving anyone laid off a minimum of 6 months pay and their annual bonus, job placement assistance, health coverage, and a bunch of other shit. So the layoff package is fantastic. I mean, 6 months is phenomenal.
So maybe that does make me think maybe they truly were just like bloated or something like that. With
they said they're going to have a bigger team than they have now.
But yeah, like you said, they're using stuff like that.
Yeah, those are employees that have been there 10 years and they're making like 450 large. And they're like, we got to get these things. We could replace those guys with 10 dudes out in India that we can work to the fucking bone. And we'll just pump stuff out faster. They got a big crunch cycle coming out. They got it coming up. They got to get through it.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see like the logic in the business behind all of this, because it doesn't seem to make a ton of sense, especially at a company like, if they are profitable despite their best efforts. Riot Games is profitable, and so getting rid of a bunch of that brain drain, essentially getting rid of people with the knowledge and all that stuff, it seems, I never understand. But yeah, you might be right. These are people who are making too much, or but then again, it sounds like Arcane is their biggest thing. Arcane, if you remember when that came out, that show was huge, and season 2 is about to come out, I think, and it's going to be huge still. It's going to be good. Like it was a very good show. I really liked it, and it sounds like they were laying people off who were part of Arcane, and you're like, dude, those people need to be rewarded. Like, they are keeping your stuff relevant, because that show was very good. Honestly, better than the game. And so, yeah, I don't know.
There's so many layoffs this year, dude. We're already over last year's number.
Did you read the numbers that are at the bottom of the article?
Oh,
you closed it?
I don't know. What article, what numbers
Oh,
you're talking
that
about.
article. So they said, let's see.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, so it's 13,000 already this year. 10,000 was last year, and 8,000 was the year before. So yeah, we got 2 months to go, and this is I think we're booting up another minor layoff season right
Since
before the holidays.
2022, that's 30,000 people in the gaming industry laid off. That is
Eddie,
crazy.
yeah,
yeah,
tough scene. Usually, riblets are little nuggets of meat that are tiny news stories that aren't enough to give you a full rib. But this week, riblets are more like the leftover rib bone basket where you throw your bones after, and you're eating with someone that sucks all the meat and sauce off of each and every bone. That's what these two stories are.
You ever get that little rib on the end when you make a rack of ribs, and it's just like there's not really anything on it? You like cut it weird, and there's not really any meat on it. It's just kind of useless. That's what this is. Yeah.
In fact, the description here of the riblets section is going to be longer than these stories. First one, the Resident Evil. This is JD sales report. JD sales report.
That's still not a thing.
The Resident Evil 4 remake has sold 8 million copies to date, so buckle up. We will have a lot more remakes, remasters.
That's actually pretty good, though.
Yeah, because people are going to see that and be like 8 million sales, and we already had the formula for what the game would be and how it would work, and done.
So easy. I promise it didn't cost as much as what was that game that we just reported out that sold 1 million copies and lost? Oh, it's Star Wars. Star Wars game. It didn't cost as much as Star Wars to make. I promise you that.
Nope.
Star Wars sold 1 million copies and needed 5 million to break even. This one did not.
8 million. Yeah, we're gonna get a lot more of this.
They made a ton of money off this.
Yeah. The last story is that the Payday 3 developers have likened their launch to being a rock band when the quote whole stage collapses and everyone leaves. This is a very short thing. This is just an interview that the developers behind Starbreeze, the guys that made Payday 3, which we reported on their terrible launch, they finally hit mostly positive for recent reviews on Steam, and they were celebrating that. And said, yeah, the lead producer, Andreas Penninger, said, our energy was like, we're at a rock band. We're coming onto the stage. We got a new album, and the whole stage just collapsed and everyone left. And I'm like, that's a great metaphor. That's very apt. Way to go. Yeah. I mean, they turfed it. I mean, I looked. It's not like they have a huge audience for their rock band right now. They have 700 people playing this game. But, hey, it's more. I mean, that's not nothing, I guess.
It's that they're like filling up like smaller venues. You know, it's like an indie band. You know,
they have fans.
Can do.
And they're kind of pulling it out. They seem to be pretty happy with the direction they're going and very self-aware. So Payday 3 fans rejoice, maybe, or Payday 2 fans or whatever. If you guys like the series and you've been holding out, these guys are they're taking the No Man's Sky route. They're trying to improve it. We'll see.
Applaudable, I guess.
Yeah.
Kudos.
All right. Kudos is our positivity segment. We give shout outs to things that we're into. Peterson, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Yeah, mine is I thought I should bring this up because I text JD every single week about this. So if you know, we haven't been talking about it that much recently because Bachelor and Bachelorette have not been that great, to be honest. There's like highlights, but the seasons in general are not that good. Right now is airing the Golden Bachelorette. So this is the old lady dating the old guys. I was not excited for this season, really, because Golden Bachelor was pretty good. Like, it was all right.
The outcome of it was so bad.
The outcome was
ruined, like it retroactively ruined the show for me.
They got married and then like immediately divorced.
The guy picked the worst. He picked the worst crazy chick, and then they didn't last. And everyone's like, "Cool, way to go, doofus."
Yeah, and so and so
reality dating shows, it's a tough scene.
But this one, the lady's name is Joan, the Bachelorette. She seems fine, you know, like whatever. She's all right. She's pretty for an older lady. But she has these guys. Look, I'll be honest with you. I don't get along with old people very much. Like, I don't like talking to old people, and I know I'm old, but like people older than me.
Yeah, my grandma hated old people till the day she died at like 95.
I will be that way. I will be in my 60s, mid-60s. I'll be retiring and be like, I don't like old people.
Hated them.
And so, no, she has this group of guys, and this is unlike anything we've ever seen on this franchise. These guys all live in the house together, but these are like older gentlemen. Normally, one of the great things about the Bachelor franchise is the drama and just the douchebags and like all that craziness. This is the opposite. These guys genuinely love each other. Like, they are so stoked when another guy gets to go on a date. They're like happy for him. And they're like, he's the best. He's definitely coming back. Like, it's so bizarre to hear, but I have sincerely enjoyed watching these guys just really lean on each other, because a lot of these guys like have emotional scars. Like, a lot of them have lost their spouses, and they're coming to terms with that because they haven't really dated since then. So like, they're really like dealing with it on the show, and these guys are like really supportive of each other. It's crazy, but it's been honestly really refreshing for me to watch these guys like genuinely love each other.
Yeah, it's not about Joan. It's not about being on a reality dating show. For these guys, it's about having friends, like male friends at their
like,
same age. Like, they are so desperately lonely.
And they are mutually like healing, dealing with trauma.
Yeah.
Mutually. Like, they're doing this together. And honestly, I feel like there are guys who really like Joan. I feel like they like the other guys more.
Yes.
Because
they woke up the one morning after that she'd sent a bunch of the guys home, and they were just so morose because the kitchen area was quieter.
Their buddies were gone.
Their buddies were gone. It wasn't like,
genuinely love each other.
I'm so stoked that there's less competition so I can win this show, which is what every, the Bachelor and the Bachelorette would be like. They were like, oh man, I miss all my friends.
Mm-hmm.
I would challenge anyone who thinks the Bachelor and the Bachelorette are stupid, though you are correct.
Yeah,
absolutely. But you have never tried to watch those shows because you think they're like the downfall of civilization. Watch an episode of The Golden Bachelorette. If you see it on Hulu, just give it like the first episode or just a random episode. Honestly,
you can jump.
It is crazy. This season has been weird. I don't know if the producers are just like keeping their like worm tongues out of everyone's ears or
there's been
what.
Zero drama.
Yeah, I mean, the drama is so minor. Like, the biggest drama was like they went bowling and one guy sat next to her for too long. And it wasn't like they freaked out. It's like one of the other guys, such dad energy, goes, "Hey, bud, what let these other guys get in there, huh?"
Yeah,
not me. It would be like, "Dude, why are you fucking me over? Why are you fucking everyone over?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, why don't you get these other guys in here, pal?"
They really care about each other. It's
so
crazy,
funny.
But honestly, I love it. Like, it feels
it's
good every week. I'm like, that's what I come away with every week. I do not care about the relationships or who's Joan's going to end up with.
No,
I love watching these guys. Yeah,
I just dude, it makes me think, like, is this something we need to like account for as a society? Like, is there just a class of like really lonely, like boomer age dudes just out there that just need someone to like, they just need to have like a boys camp. They just like have a guys retreat for like a weekend.
These guys are nothing alike. Like, they are so different. There's a French dude who's like super loaded.
Doesn't know how to do laundry or cook. And they're doing his laundry and cooking for him and like just teasing him about it, but they're still doing it.
They're not even mad about it. They're not. And there's like this old
shit.
Asian guy who like
cute.
He's just the nicest guy. Like, these guys have almost nothing in common, but they're getting along. So anyways, so my kudos is for the men of the Golden Bachelorette, because it has been honestly a pleasure to watch. I love it.
It's so weird. I don't know why
I
love
positive.
it so much.
It's the most positive thing in my life right now.
It's like the Great British Bake Off of reality dating shows.
Yes, it is. That's exactly what it is.
You just feel good watching it, and you're like, huh. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't feel bad recommending this to literally anyone. I have a recommendation for a show that is much different. in tone. This is called, it's on Peacock. It's called Anatomy of Lies. I heard about this because I came across a Vanity Fair article about this person. She is a former writer / executive producer for Grey's Anatomy. I think she also worked on, if I'm not mistaken, it was Vampire Diaries and some other vampire shows. Basically, she was a TV writer, and then she became a TV writer on Grey's Anatomy and executive producer, whatever. The show documents her incredible, insane lies. She lied about having cancer. She wrote like stories, like articles in like big publications about how she's like a TV writer living with cancer, gave herself like a super rare cancer. This isn't really spoiling it because this is all in the trailer. Like she got like a fucking chemo plug, like a fake one.
What?
And would like wear it on her chest, like taped there. She'd go to work like looking green and like go to the bathroom and vomit at work from the quote unquote chemo that she wasn't getting. And this is the stuff I'm telling you right now is just like surface stuff. Like this is the mild stuff. She told like she would like glom onto people and steal their traumas and then just like say it was hers. And it was like so brazen. She's like she would know, she'd write them into episodes of Grey's fucking Anatomy. She'd steal people's like life stories and terrible things that had happened to them, and she'd either absorb it as her own. Like she saw was it Tree of Hope shooting, whatever? I think it was Tree of Life at the synagogue. She just like that happened. And she just decided to tell everyone in the writer's room at Grey's Anatomy that not only did she know a ton of people there that were shot, but because of Jewish burial rites, she had to actually go to the synagogue and quote unquote scoop up her friend's brains. She was never there. She was at a Halloween party. And so
wild.
Then she had to go to a mental facility to deal with the PTSD from this event that never happened. And then she met a woman there whose trauma she just ripped off wholesale. It is the most insane fucking... You watch Fyre Fest and you see like Billy McFarland. You're like, what a liar asshole. That guy's crazy. What lies does he tell? This woman tells lies that make you like there were so many times Jenna and I just turned to each other with just speechless.
Wow. I want to watch this.
What the fuck? Like, what a lunatic. This crazy bitch, dude. Anyway, Anatomy of Lies. It's a 3-part series. It's like 50 minutes each. It's on Peacock. If you were or know anyone who was a fan of Grey's Anatomy, this is a must watch.
I've watched a decent amount of Grey's Anatomy.
Do you remember it was during kind of the Me Too era, an episode where they wheel some woman down the hallway and it's lined with women on all the sides because they're like supporting her because they're all victims of sexual assault or something? Do you remember that episode?
I don't remember that.
You're listening to this and you remember that episode. She wrote that and she stole someone's story to write that whole episode.
Of course.
And won all sorts of awards and all this crazy shit for it. Anyway, for Grey's watchers, this is a must watch. It's called Anatomy of Lies. It's fucking good. It's crazy. Like, it makes the chimp lady from Chimp Crazy look like very rational and reasonable. You're like, yeah, she should have a chimp. Compared to Anatomy of Lies lady, she's grounded.
That lady should have lots of chimps.
Give her more chimps.
All right, I have 2 clips here to play because we don't have an actual clip.
They're also good.
We are going to have open sexual intercourse on every street corner of America.
Such a good clip. And then I forgot I made this. I just saw this and was like,
yeah, this is perfect. Fits.
Oh, yeah. You know what time it is. Stop it. Keep on rolling, baby. Are you looking at me in the eyes?
It's time for them
Stop.
dice of destiny.
That subtle moan you slipped in there. That's fantastic sound editing is what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Quality shit. All right, guys. This week is Next Fest. It's Steam Next Fest. And you're like, where is Jenna? Where's the good song? Where's the wholesomeness? Where's the balance to these two morons that I get once every Sex Fest? I mean, Next Fest. No, not this week. This week we banished Jenna. She's not allowed on. She wasn't even invited. Be part of this. No, because we played exclusively sex games.
So it came about because JD saw some sex games in there, and he was like, Sext Fest. And he's like, we're doing it.
We worked backwards from the pun.
We are going to do Next Fest still next week. I have played a buttload of
Jenna's played a bunch. I've played a handful.
Next week we will talk that, but this week we're doing the steamy side of Next Fest.
I love our listeners because they appreciate this level of dedication to like word games.
We will think of a pun and be like, we have to do something.
We have to do something with that. Yeah. Like, I think there was just a discussion in our Discord about an ottoman that's shaped like a hippo, but it's not called.
Why are you even bringing this up? It makes me so mad.
Exactly.
Hippopotamen? Like, why didn't they do that?
Our listeners are my type of people, so you guys will understand Sex Fest. Sex Fest was not something that either of us wanted to do. I don't think it was something either of us particularly enjoyed. In fact, I spent the majority of Sex Fest pissed off that I wasn't playing actual Next Fest games, and I was getting behind.
I did it the other way around. I played a bunch of regular games, and I was like, I got to do a bunch of sex games now.
No, I ate my vegetables first, and these vegetables were like uncooked broccoli and Brussels sprouts. Just
like
vile.
No salt. Like boiled Brussels sprouts. Like
no salt.
Ones.
Okay, so how do you want to do this? I've got 6 games.
Going. You go first.
I'm gonna start with my two least favorite, and I've got to say, not that the others were more favorites, but these ones were like they all got Fs, but these ones in particular I didn't like because I've learned a lot about sex games during Sext Fest. And one of the big things I've learned that really made me unhappy and upset was that a significant chunk of sex games on Steam, I would imagine just out there in general, a significant amount, probably more than 50-60%, are rape based. It's not like a sex game, it's like a rape game.
Like rapey. Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like when it like involves, because it seems to imply that out there the audience for sex based content is a bunch of rapists.
That's like their thing, like they're into.
I'm like, I don't think that's fucking right. So that lost me. I didn't like that to begin with, but I'll start with probably it's probably the rapiest one. I didn't like this one, but the name was funny, and then there were parts of it that were so disgusting that it looped back around to funny. This is Latex and Tentacles.
Oh.
Not great. I guess this should be, and I hope the last thing I said served as a content warning. This whole fucking segment should be a content warning. If you don't want, we're going to be talking about sexual assault, all sorts of disgusting stuff. If you don't want any of that, honestly, the whole rest of the episode, you should probably just skip. Next week will be lovely. Jenna will be on. But for this episode, we're just going into it. This is X-rated. It's garbage. We're going to be frank with you guys. Latex and Tentacles was disgusting.
What type of game was it?
It's some kind of like tower defense roguelike hybrid game, but that seemed very secondary to, I don't know, playing as like just like the gross art style of the game.
Oh, yeah.
Tentacle monsters, and in like the main game part of it, like where you're like fighting, it's like a side scroller, and you just kind of like move up and down, and you just like you hurt these like female knight characters essentially by, I think, just standing next to them, and they hurt you by standing next to you. So you just like move your tentacle monster on top of like their 2D model, and then just you're doing damage to each other just by existing, and then you like capture them for your tentacle slave army, and then you enslave these women to produce 4 currencies, and this is what the 4 currencies are: eggs, milk, cum, and tentacle.
I hate this game.
Oh, I'm making like 2 eggs per second, or I'm making like 4 cum per second, or like 25 tentacles per hour. So that part of the game I did because it's fucking hilarious. The rest of it, I don't know. It didn't even make sense. That was the problem with so many. The running theme of all these games is so many of them like didn't work as games. So I'm like, you guys just want to be gross. That's one thing.
Like this was just like some guys who know how to make games
Yes.
being horny. That's
You need to make me a fucking game. When I watch porn, I don't expect that the fucking like cameraman is like jerking off while he's filming, which is exactly how some of these games felt. Like when the guys were just making jerk off content for themselves and it happened to compile itself into some sort of video
and then
game.
they were like, "Can I make a game out of this?" But
Like, they're like, cool, but I'm not going to stop
Yes.
jerking off while I make this and develop this. I'm going to do a half-ass job of the whole thing because it's just about getting out. Just like if I was watching porn and the camera kept bouncing up and down and you hear in the camera, and then he drops the camera and it just keeps filming and you're like, whatever, just publish that. That's how these games felt, dude. It's like put in the bare minimum. Just like with a porn video, I'd expect a video. And with a porn game, I expect a game. But so many of these, like latex and tentacles, were just like an excuse to be gross. I hated this one. I did not add this to my wish list. What have you got, Peterson?
Okay. I'll maybe start at the bottom.
That's what I'm doing. Because my last one I liked.
Okay, so I played this game and I only picked it because none of it made sense. And it continued along that path. It was called, you should look it up.
I'm
It's
going
called
to.
Sports Girl Village.
I love when they slip the word girl in so you know.
Okay, but here's the thing. I don't know where the sports came into play. This game, I picked it because if you watch the video, the girl is running in the stupidest way I can imagine. She's got her hands out to her sides and her hips are moving too much. Like all of it's moving too much. And
Dude,
she's just in a bra and a
fantastic
thong.
pick. Fantastic
I saw this
pick.
and I was like, I have to play it. Okay.
This is so funny. Why does she run like this?
I don't know. And it never got normal. Cover art makes it look like a horror game for some reason. And there's nothing to do with sports. Here's the isn't it the most ridiculous? I had to
It's like
play
a
it.
praying mantis if it only had 2 legs.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And it's not like a super cartoony
She's
game.
even got like the arms out.
I'm telling you, it makes no sense. It's not a cartoony game, and also has nothing to do with sports. Zero.
Did you even read the description? Lucy is a sporty girl.
No, she's not. She's just a girl. There's nothing sport. I mean, she's fit. I guess is that
Dude,
what
her
they're trying to
praying
say?
mantis stance is very sporty, in my opinion.
Okay, here's the game, because this is not a game. I don't even understand what this is. There's no explanation of what you're supposed to do. You start off as this girl.
You're supposed to masturbate, Peterson. Are you kidding me? That's what you're supposed to do with all these games.
And you are in a medieval looking village. Like it's got like hearths and like it's very medieval, like a medieval village. That's what it looks like, a peasant's village. Yeah. You're in your thong and your bra running around like a praying mantis and jumping around. And there are these glowing items. I was like, okay, I'll go get on your left-hand side. You've got this menu. It'll be like the picture of one of the items. It'll be like a plus sign, a green plus sign. Right. And it'll say 1 out of 0. I'm like, I don't know what that means. And you go get it and it changes to 2 out of 1. And then you go get another one. And if you get another one, it will say 3 out of 2. I don't understand. I didn't understand that. But that's the whole game. They're just these glowing items, and you just run around and get them. And as you pick them up, you level up. There's nothing to do with leveling up. You can only jump and run, and that's it. You can't like punch. There's nothing to do. There's no other characters, and the village isn't even big. You just run around and get these items that keep spawning. And I played for probably 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like
long enough to know there's nothing else going on.
And literally nothing happens. I got up to level 22. And
why do they
do
this?
Things happened.
It's like they've made a lot of these feel not like a game demo. They feel like tech demos. Like, here's like the game. Like, the character moves around and collects things. Like, technically, that's what the game
It's
is. But I'm like, that's not enough to put it on Next Fest. Like,
no.
that's so fucking shitty of you.
Yeah, but
You wasted your time and our time putting this game up there.
Sorry, I forgot to mention the maybe worst part is while you pick up these things, she makes the most annoying sounds. She'll say like, those like Japanese girls like Askarata, like
Yes.
so those
Yeah.
she does those every now and then. She does a very sexual moan, and you're like, I don't understand what's happening. Sometimes a Japanese guy will come in and say something, "Askarata," and you're like, what is that? I don't know what's happening, and like none of it made sense. Zero. The music was weird. All of it was weird. I played it for 10 minutes. I was like, I can't.
I'm done.
If something else is supposed to happen, I'm level 22 right now in this game, and nothing has changed. So, Sports Girl Village, the best part about it is the just ridiculous way she runs. Everything else was nonsense.
Another one that I hated because of its rapey nature was the Night Girl and Dungeons. And if you watch the trailer, you could be like, JD, you knew what you were getting into. Half the trailer is just like rape depictions.
Okay, come on though. This game,
But it looked like it was a Souls-like game, kind of had a Skyrim look to it.
like you're
Or
a chick with
Dark
armor and a
Souls.
sword.
Right. And I was like, this is at least, because so many of the games I kept finding were visual novels.
Yep.
Not to diss them, but like I know what I'm getting with those. It's the
I
same
did
thing
play
every
one
time.
visual novel.
I play one and they're all the same. But I was trying to find games that were sex games. Just, that was the point. And this one looked like a game. And Peterson watched me play it.
It's incredible and how stupid and bad it is, but it is incredible.
They dedicated a ton of time to the boob physics. And I mean, to the detriment of literally every other aspect of the game. Your boobs just
character
start
is
bouncing.
in armor. You're
Yeah.
in metal-looking armor.
Metal
and
armor.
The metal armor has boob physics on it. It will jiggle every movement.
They juggle, like, you can't move the slightest amount without your boobs like just jiggling off your fucking chest.
But it looks so stupid in the armor. JD is like, I have to show this to you. I couldn't.
Yeah, I
stop
had to show
laughing.
it. Yeah, because the second you spawn in the game, like your character, it's almost like they dropped her an inch.
Yeah.
Just an inch onto the floor, like spawned her in, but her boobs just start bouncing like violently. Your clothes fall off when you take damage. You take damage from these little monsters.
That is the theme from sex games that I've found. Your clothes fall off when you take damage.
Yeah, they are dick goblins. I called them Obama dick goblins because for some reason their faces look exactly like Barack Obama.
They absolutely did. Just green.
Like 2 foot long super dicks.
Drag it
like
on the ground.
Goblins. And you can hit them, but if you miss and they knock you down, they are going to rape you. Which is confusing because after that sequence starts, you then play as the goblin raping yourself. So
what?
Yeah, you take control of the goblin, and then you have to like pump to completion as the goblin.
They're so stupid.
Yes, I hated it. It was an extremely short demo. In fact, I was kind of surprised by it. 1 hallway, 2 rooms, and a handful of dick goblins, and that was it. Like, it was like, again, a tech demo. Like, fundamentally, they had built nothing in this game, but they're so eager to get this game. They only had a few settings. A couple of the settings were disable penis and disable piss. There was no piss, but I think the dick goblins will piss in your mouth.
JD opened up the disable menu while he was showing it to me, and I saw disable piss and lost it.
Yeah, Peterson
that is
was dying.
Stupidest.
Those are the only two.
What?
But the thing is that's so stupid is if you disable penis, it's not like something normal or they're running around like Ken dolls. They just get like the horrified emoji. Like an emoji in this like realistic fantasy game. There's all of a sudden just an emoji on their crotch. Not to worry, they will rape you with the emoji still.
That is Guys,
or you'll rape yourself. I don't know. This game, fuck this game. Fuck the Night Girl in Dungeons. All these rape games can just like
it
fucking
might have been the
pound it. This
funniest
sucks.
game that I saw though in all of
Very
Sex
funny. I mean, for the 5 seconds that I laughed, was it worth the rest of it? Probably not. That game sucked, and I was offended that the demo was so short. They felt that they needed to put this out there, and Next Fest happens like 4 times a year. You guys don't need to put this
Wait.
garbage out there until it's ready.
Nobody's like itching for that game.
No. Well, the people who are need to be put on a fucking FBI watch list.
For sure.
What else
Maybe
you got?
that's what these games are for. Okay, let's go with. Okay, this game I picked it because the name was so stupid. I had to do it. The game is called One Iced Latte with Your Breast Milk, Please.
Oh, gotta look this one up.
Okay, so this is more of a visual novel. There was a little bit of a gamey aspect to it, but you're this nerdy guy and you're going around the streets of Tokyo and you're a super dork and everyone's like, you're a nerd. And you're like, I can't go to Starbucks. That's where all the cool people go. Literally, like this is like very Japanese. Like the cool people are gonna shun me, and so you go into this little coffee shop, and there's this chick working there with gigantic boobs.
The art, and this is killing me.
The boobs are massive, and your guy's like, of course, like in the very like. It's just like a very Japanese thing. The guy's like, oh, like he doesn't know how to talk all of a sudden.
Yes.
And he can't stop looking at her boobs. That's like a big thing.
Right.
She's talking to him and he's just saying breast, breast. And it's literally like highlighting the word. And it's like breast, breast. And then she goes, do you want to order something? And he goes, one iced latte with your breast milk, please. And then he gets embarrassed and runs out. And then he tells
perfect.
And then he tells his other friend, who's a girl, who's hot, but she's like the goth emo hot, you know? And she's like, you're an idiot. You got to go apologize to her. So you go back in all hesitant tomorrow. And she doesn't even act like anything happens. And she makes you a drink and it's terrible. And so you're like, let me show you how to make coffee. And then you work there. And this is where the game part of it comes in. So then you have to like put ingredients together to make a new coffee drink. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is like a game. And you become friends with this girl, and then you earn money. That's it, though. It's just clicking. There's not like anything you do. You just like build the drink, and you're like, yes, and then you click open, and then it's like, here's how much money you made this day, and then you get a job at a little market, and then a night job, and then you have the option to use one energy to work there or not. But like the energy, you always had energy, so it was like, all right, whatever, because it refreshed every night. So you'd work there and you were trying to make enough money to like pay your rent. And then you'd have to try to make enough money to like for the shop to stay open. Well, eventually you become friends with this lady and she's like, I'm going to make you that drink you ordered the first time you came in. And you're like, what? And she makes you a drink. She's like, this is with my special milk. And you drink it and you think it tastes amazing, of course. And that's it. You don't really do anything.
See any tits in this? This seems like a big cock tease.
Not in the demo, I think, because you can ask the girls on dates and like go on dates with them later and stuff.
Bullshit.
But like the demo was pretty short, but it was mostly just like clicking and reading. Like I lost the game because I didn't make enough money the first time to pay my rent. So I had to go through and I was literally just like button mashing, like getting through all the dialogue to like see what happened. And yeah, that was it. Then the whole game is based off of that one line where you ask a girl for an iced latte with her breast milk, please. And
this is why I didn't play the visual novels.
Nonsense.
They're pretty low effort.
Nonsense. It wasn't even funny though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like sometimes these are kind of funny or like there's something. This wasn't even that. It was just like the worst. So I won't be playing the extended version of the game when it comes out.
Okay, so I'll do mine because I did play a visual novel as well, kind of a point and click game. I picked this on the name though, because the name is Magic Pussy Chapter 3. Yeah, and I was like, there are two.
I already know what this game is. I already know what this is.
Yeah, Chapter 1 and 2 were so good that it necessitated a trilogy.
Gotta get that third.
Fuck yeah, I'm in for that. Pretty standard visual novel point and click game. The story was like meh. But honestly, it was more of a story than any of the other games. Like I got, like, at least they tried. You show up. It's like a Harry Potter kind of setup. You show up in this like town though, instead of a school, and you're like show up on a train with your Hermione and like your Ron, and you want to fuck your Hermione, but you also can just be way rude to her, which is what I always chose to do. Because I figured angry sex would be hotter if it ever came to that. And you go into the town and you like just meet people and like flirt with them and fuck the librarian, and basically it's just like I did get to see pussy in this one, which is great, because if I played a demo for Magic Pussy Chapter 3 and saw no pussy, I would be very upset.
Yeah.
I mean, this delivered, I guess, what I would expect from a porn or a sex game visual novel.
No,
you just
gotta
go
write
through the
first
words. The story's like, it's passable. And then you get to these. I learned they're called H scenes, which is short for hentai scenes.
Oh, I saw that too, and I didn't know what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yeah,
like
I
you
did
unleashed
some.
an H,
Look at
H scene,
yeah.
and I was like,
Yeah, they're like, and I found that by trying to figure out my way around a lot of bugs in the future games, in the games coming up that I'm going to talk about. Actually, there were a lot of bugs in a lot of these games, and you go search for them, and every research result's just like talking about the H scenes, and I was like, that's not helpful for me. You guys don't care.
Look, I did learn something. I
Yes.
just didn't care. I was like, I don't know what that is.
No,
whatever.
you learned something.
I
So
don't know what that is.
the sex animations were pretty forgettable. The gameplay itself was like just on rails. It wasn't like, oh, I can go talk to this person or talk to that person. It's just like you just go click, 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 sex scene, click, 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 sex scene. I don't know why there are 2 other chapters of this. What else do you have?
Okay, so I got 2 more. Lust for Lucre.
Oh.
I was like, this one is a game. It is a game. It looked kind of fun. You're a guy. You start off, you're a guy, just like in your grandpa's attic looking for stuff, and you keep finding his old porn. And then you're like, you find
oh, grandpa.
It's like kind of funny. Like the game's got a little like funny aspect to it. And so you find this game kind of like Jumanji style, and it pulls you into this like a different world, and you're like, what's happening? And this really nice orc chick, she's of course very busty, finds you, and she's like, oh, hey, what are you doing here? You better not let the other orc see you. And then another orc lady sees you and knocks you out and throws you in prison. And she's hot too, for an orc. And then that other chick comes back and she's like, I'll get you out of prison. And then you have to do a fight. It's a match 3 game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those where like
game.
Yeah. So but it's one of those where like you have a certain amount of moves to defeat them. You've got a health bar and they'll fight back. And you like match 3 swords and you do an attack. You match, and there's a bunch of things. There was like a ton of different types of attacks you could do, and it was kind of complicated that way. But it was a game, and it was kind of fun. Like you're like, this is kind of fun playing like a match 3 with one of those like combat twists. And as you attack them, their clothes fall off, and so they're just like. And it's just like a static image of like orc chick, and their armor falls off. She's in her underwear, and then her bra falls off. Like so, she ends up naked when you defeat her. And there was no rape in this one, so that was a positive that this game has going for it. and then there was another game type, which was actually kind of interesting in a dumb way, kind of fun. But it was another match 3 type. But this is how you would romance this girl that you were interested in, this orc chick. You'd take her on a date, and you would romance her by each of the females. There was only one you could play. Each of the women in this, they had different things they liked and things they didn't like, and each of the colors in the match 3 represented something. So it was like, this is my affection and my seduction and humor and like all these different things. Like green was humor and all these things like that. And so you could do the match 3 that way. And that one wasn't a combat style. You legitimately just had a certain amount of moves to get her like attraction bar all the way up. And there was no nudity in that one. You were just trying to get this chick to like you. I'm sure you will bang her later. In the demo, there wasn't any of that. And so I was like, this game's like kind of fun. Like there's actually a game to it at least. But the boring part was I just didn't understand. There was like a day cycle. So it was like day, night, evening, or day, noon, evening, and late night. And you would just go through but there was nothing to
It has
do in
so many
between them.
layers for a match 3 game.
There was nothing to do in between them. Like, theoretically, you could like go around and talk to different people and do different missions. But in this demo, all you do is just like move the day forward to the next day when you could go on a date. And then eventually I was like, I don't know what else I'm supposed to be doing. I'm just like taking this chick on dates over and over and over. And like, I don't know what is supposed to happen. So I just stopped playing it. I did play it for a decent amount. And honestly, it's maybe like the funnest of the games that I played because it was at least a game. Like, there was something to it. And the game was semi-interesting in terms of the match 3 mechanics. I know there's a bunch of games out there like this, where you can like, combat using match 3. And they're always kind of fun, at least for a little bit. So I had a little bit of fun with it. It was silly. It didn't take itself seriously at all. And so, yeah, I don't know. Of all the games I played, this is probably the best one in terms of like it actually being something and not being the grossest game that I played, because that's the last one I'll talk about. So do you have any more?
Great. Oh yeah. I have 2 I'll do together because they were made, I found out later, by the same company. First one was Horny Housewives 2.
Of course.
Right, just jumped off the page for me. This is like a suburban setting in this like teeny tiny neighborhood, like straight out of like Twilight Zone kind of a vibe. Like there's like a slight hill grade all in all directions around it. It's just like a square. And I thought, for one of the first things I did was like, oh, I wonder what happens, what's over that hill. The second I stepped off the sidewalk, I just started falling. Well, you have health, but I don't know why. And you can't die in this game because there's no like combat or anything. So I just fell until I eventually just restarted the game because nothing ever happened. So I was like, why you guys do the bait? You couldn't even put an invisible wall in? Like, what the fuck? That seems like so low effort. I downloaded this game because it promised like a lot of various interactions and secrets among the housewives. But honestly, it's so on rails. There's no chance of immersion whatsoever, even as like a video game. Like, it is so like it's so on rails.
Oh,
Like, you just do fetch quest, and you don't get a choice of who you talk to or when or why. And so, like, I'll describe the entire experience I had in this game. I'm a guy and I show up in this new neighborhood, and I'm supposed to go talk to all the women in the town. And I go talk to them, and as promised, they are all pretty horny. I just checked that off the list, and then someone's like, go talk to this one chick. And I go talk to her, and she's like a babysitter in town. So that was kind of a mislead, not a housewife, a babysitter. And she's like, oh man, I was babysitting down at this house, and I forgot to put all the kids' toys away. Will you go break into their house and do it for me? And while you're there, I left my studies, my school book, and my 2 highlighters, and I need those for finals. So could you grab those too? And I was like, yeah, I'll totally do that. That seems like a reasonable thing to do to get laid. So I go pick up the kids' toys and put them away. I get her books and her highlighter. During this time, I had to reboot the game like 3 times because I just kept running into glitches. Like, I walked through a wall into a room that had no doors and couldn't get back out.
Oh my gosh.
Like, so fucking
Well
frustrating.
made.
So frustrating. So anyway, I go get her highlighters and I bring them back, and she's like, oh man, I was jogging out at the edge of town and I lost my phone. And you go find her phone, which is crazy because it's like 2 feet away from the magic sidewalk that if you step off the edge of, you're going to die. So it's not like I went out of my way to find where you can fall off the edge of the map. It guides you there and then hopes you don't take 2 steps to the right. So I get her cell phone, I bring it back, and she's like, oh, I just got a call from the drug dealer. By the way, the only 2 men in town are a drug dealer and a fat guy. So you don't need to feel threatened.
No competition.
Well, that's kind of a lie because there are actually 4 men. 2 of the men you can't talk to, interact with, and they don't have names. They're just like creepy ghosts that kind of just like walk around town and then will occasionally just like walk into a wall and just keep walking into the wall.
Dum
It
dum.
feels a very lively city. So she gets a call from the drug dealer, and he's like, your stuff's behind the dumpster. And she's like, will you go pick up my stuff? The drug dealer has left you, or I guess her, pep pills, or they're called party pills, a bong,
Don't take them.
and a 6-pack of a can of whipped cream for whippets, and a 6-pack of beer. He just gets you a 6-pack of beer and a can of whipped cream from the Sev, just because he's a thoughtful drug dealer.
Yeah.
Anyway,
like-
you go
yeah,
grab all
yeah.
these, and I'm like, God, dude, I better be getting. And you do. You come back, you hand her the things, and all of a sudden, by the way, this chick, for whatever reason, all the other housewives are conveniently standing out in front of their houses, just waiting to have horny talk with any new strangers from town, like inviting you into their home and stuff.
Like prostitutes in the movies, like
Yes.
hanging out the window, like
But this chick, the babysitter, is literally just standing in the middle of the street the whole time. She never moves. She just fucking stands there in the middle of the road. And that's where you interact with her. So I go up to her and I bring her all her party stuff. And I'm like, hey, sounds like you're having a pretty good party. She's like, you know what kind of party it is. And I'm like, yeah, I do. And we exchange horny talk. And then all of a sudden, instantly, just like that, she's not wearing a shirt anymore. And her tits are just out in the middle of the street.
yeah.
And my character goes, oh my God, you are completely naked right now. She has pants on. She's wearing shorts. I'm so mad at this point, at this game, for everything it's doing to make me dumber. Like, I'm so mad. Like, every little detail. Oh my God, you are completely naked. It's just her tits are out. But she's out in the middle of the street, so maybe you just got a little confused. So finally, I get to have sex with the babysitter, and it's fine. Like, you just get to choose from like a drop-down menu. Like, fuck my mouth, fuck my pussy.
Yeah.
And then you go watch an animation, and I don't think participate in it. I think you just watch, and they're like, cool.
Sometimes they have like a "Are you finished watching?" button. Like,
Yeah,
I know
I was instantly finished
yeah.
watching. I was like, this sucks. And then the next one. Okay, so it's very same vein, same game. In fact, when I opened this one called Revenge of Blackbone, which sounded and looked very promising for a number of reasons. When I opened up Revenge of Blackbone, it's like, welcome, ye traveler, to Port Royal, and this is how you get around and use our mini map and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's funny, because I played this one first before I played Horny Housewives, and I was like, oh, that's pretty funny. Like, it's like they're leaning into the pirate stuff. Well, when I booted up Horny Housewives 2, they used the exact same fucking thing, and they called it Port Royal. They just copy pasted everything.
Wow.
I hated it so bad, dude. I was really upset. So I play Revenge of Blackbone, and I boot it up, and I'm a pirate standing in like on a dock, and it's like it's pretty immersive. It's much better than the
Housewives.
neighborhood. It's so creepy neighborhood, and so, but it's the exact same thing. It's a better looking game. You run around, and the docks are hard to navigate, so you fall off into the water, and you don't swim. Your character just goes really fast all the way to the bottom and then comes up really like to the top. And you're just doing that constantly. So if you're in the water, you're just like rapidly diving and rapidly rising back up while you move.
You're getting the bends pretty aggressively.
Yes, you're giving yourself the bends like you wouldn't believe. And then you just like get to the edge of the water and jump back out. You do a bunch of fetch quests. And I did so many. I did so many things. And then the last one I got to was, you're supposed to go kill these 3 British soldiers. And I'm like, fuck yeah, violence and like combat. And I assume they're not like the dick goblins, so they're not going to assault me, which is going to be cool. And I run up to them, and I don't have a sword. I have no way of fighting them. None of my abilities work. Nothing I do works. I don't have any weapons or anything, and they can't hurt me. They just like run at me aggressively, and then they seem upset that I'm standing there. Through some extensive Googling, which just brought me a lot of H scenes, I found that this is a common problem, that you're supposed to have a sword. I don't know how to have it, but I couldn't equip it because I didn't have it, and then you kill him with a sword. I played this game for like 30 minutes. The whole time Jenna was just laughing at me because it's so obnoxious, and like the swimming is stupid, and you're running around, you're doing fetch quests. It's very on rails. And I get to a bug at the very end. I didn't even get my filthy pirate dick wet at all. I saw nothing. I got nothing for it. So essentially, I just played a game that was like fighting me the whole time, and it like did not want to be played, and it was like no payoff, just like massive blue balls.
intended payoff was not there.
Between Horny Housewives 2 and Revenge of Blackbone and a little bit Magic Pussy Chapter 3, I found myself wondering, why the fuck would anyone play these games? Why you have to work so hard, so fucking hard in a game that isn't fun? It's barely a game, and the result is such a minimal payoff that if you just went on like literally any porn site and looked up animations, like porn animations, you'd have a much better experience than this. What is the point of this?
I don't know.
It just makes me so bad that it's so lazy and low effort, and it just wastes everyone's time. You're wasting my time by publishing a game and then lying in the trailer to make it look like it's more of a game than it is. And you're wasting your own time making something so stupid. I hated these all so much, but I have one last shimmering thing, but you should do yours. Your
Okay.
disgusting one.
This was
first.
the one I was most excited for. It was called Butt Night.
Yes. I was
this
jealous you
game-
got this instead of me. It sounded hilarious.
I was like, that's so funny to me. So Butt Night, and it starts off pretty funny. You're this big knight, and you have to go rescue the princesses. These three princesses, I don't know, these princesses who are supposed to be hot got kidnapped by the bad guys, and they're like, "Go get them, Butt Night." Your name is literally Sir Butt Night. You have a gigantic bubble butt and a butt chin.
See, this is a great pick on paper.
And I was like, yeah, this is so funny. So you go in and you're trained. Like you do this training session where it like teaches you how to do your moves. You've got like a shooting move where you like Zelda style shoot your sword, like old school Zelda.
Sure.
And then you have a attack that you charge up and then just hit. And then I'm like, tight. And then these bandits come in, and the lady training you, she's hot, right? And
yeah,
then
usually.
And this is very cartoony style. They come in, they knock you out, they take the lady, and you're like, crap. So then you go in, and it gives you like your first level. And the game is essentially Space Invaders gameplay. You're at the bottom shooting your sword, and then like
and they're coming from the top.
Yeah, and they're coming from the top. You're at the bottom, and then like you'll kill a guy, and he'll drop like some item you can get, and it makes your sword shooting better, or gives you arrows that shoot really fast, or like 3. So it's like very standard, like typical that Space Invaders type of gameplay. And then I was like, okay, that's kind of fun. No, it was kind of fun, medium fun, and like, but there was just some stupid things. Like there'd be at the bottom right of the screen was just like a hot chick, and like I don't know if someone you were supposed to know who it is, like in the game, but she would just be there, and as your score went up, her clothes would fall off. So your goal was to make, and if you got top score and she was naked, you unlocked an H scene, I guess. I didn't know what that was, and I didn't see any H scenes. I just
I hate that we know this.
I just learned it from you, because it would say unlocked H scene. I'm like, what is that?
Oh, so they actually call it in game. See, I thought that was just like a fan thing.
No, that's what it said. That's why I was like,
H
what is it
scenes.
talking about? I didn't even bother trying to find it. So as you're going, I mean, the gameplay was kind of funny until it got to this point where you come into the clearing, and the bandits are all gang raping this chick that they got. They're essentially forcing them to give her blowjob. She's forcing her to give them blowjobs over and over, and she's like miserable. And then it's like finally showing from her point of view, this giant penis shows up, huge. And then she's like, oh, I'm kind of into this one. She's blowing in, it's like getting too aggressive, and then it comes everywhere and just like come everywhere. And then it turns out it's you. So before you rescue her, you join in on the gang rape. And I was like, ugh.
At least it's historically accurate.
So then you rescue her, and she's like, oh, well, thank you. But like, are you satisfied? So then you actually like do her.
Then you have like consensual sex. Okay.
Yeah. And then you leave. And then you're like, I got the princesses, and you do another round of like this Space Invaders style shooting. You pull up to a clearing, and you're like looking through your telescope, and then because it turns into like a scene, right? Because you look through your telescope, and there's this hot chick, whatever, banging some god guy, and then you're like, I gotta fight him. And so you're like, I don't know. It's
trash.
And then I just stopped playing because I was like, this is so dumb. Like, remember when I played my sex game, Scarlet Maiden?
Yes.
It was actually a fun game. It was gross. Like they did a lot of gross stuff in there, but the game was actually fun.
Well, it's because you forgot to turn off the piss.
I didn't know it was
Yes,
an
you forgot to
option.
disable piss.
And so, anyways, Butt Night, which could have been fun or funny, just turned out to be grosser. It was easily the grossest one I played with, like the most like just X-rated sex happening. There was just like tons of sperm and tons of boners and like just so much happening all the time. And I was like,
It was like a teenage boy's notebook.
yeah. And I was like, it could have been the top one of this, but I was so grossed out by it the whole time. Like, why is this so disgusting? So that was Butt Night. The butt chin is pretty funny though. Like, kudos
Yeah,
to
like
them
on
for giving him a
paper.
giant butt chin.
Yeah, and it said like spank evil. I was like, okay, maybe.
Yeah, like it's supposed to be funny, and it just ended up being grosser than funny.
Okay, so I was about to close up this chapter, Magic Pussy chapter 4, as it were. But I was like, what had happened is I made a burner account on Steam to do this. And it initially took me, it was kind of hard because Steam doesn't force these on you initially. They kind of sneak them to you if you're a pervert. And you
That
look
doesn't
at 'em.
seem true.
Or you're Peterson. But I, like, as a brand new 1 day old account, I had to do some digging. Well, after I downloaded a handful of these, the next time I logged on the next day, Steam had figured it out. So when I
You're
opened
like,
up
oh,
Next
he's a
Best,
pervo.
you're a pervo. And so they recommended one more game to me, and I looked at it and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll try this because it looked like a fucking game. And I was just like, I just want to play a fucking game for once.
Yeah.
Like I was so tired of like being miserable. And so I downloaded Spirit Valley because it sounded so innocuous. And it sounded like it was going to be a ripoff of Stardew Valley with like sex. And I was like, yeah, no, okay. Yeah, let's do it. Sight unseen. I just jumped. It's pixelated. Looks very much like Stardew Valley or Pokemon. And you even take a bus into town. And so I was immediately thinking, oh, it's a Stardew game. And maybe instead of like romancing the people in town, you fuck them. I was like, cool. Sounds good. No. I show up and almost immediately realize this game is coded as a Pokemon game.
It's a creature collector.
It's a creature collector. And the creatures you show up in this part of the world that is just rife with spirits. And the spirits are crazy horny. They're just super slutty. And all they want to do is fuck. And all you want to do is collect creatures. And they want to fuck you. They want to fuck each other. And I'm like, now here's a motherfucking sex video game. Like, it is just consensual as hell. Everyone is enthusiastically consensual, down to like the weird monsters you're having sex with. You walk around town, and the human characters around town are, as Peterson has recently informed me, real baddies. This is what they're called. Just
That's what
super
they're called,
stacked,
yeah.
big tits, hanging out. And they're like, this is just what it's like. They're like, you live among the spirits. You sort of kind of become like them. And I was like, I got to thinking, I was like, yeah, that's about right. When I'm a 10-year-old JD in 1998, and I've got my Game Boy Color and I'm playing Pokemon Blue, my fantasy is that I go out on an adventure and exploring the world, collecting cute animals and raising them to be stronger and cooler. And maybe I find a rare one along the road. 36-year-old pervert JD. Would I like to live in a town where everything's trying to fuck me constantly? Yeah. Maybe that's my new fantasy. Maybe that's the game I want to play. Maybe that's the fantasy I want to live out while I play the game. So both of those are highly unrealistic. Neither of those are ever going to happen. But, I got to play both those things. So I play this game and I am delighted to learn. It is a fucking game, and it is good. And I'm starting to wonder if it's the contrast of the previous like terrible 5 games that I've played, or if it's just a really good game. And guess what, Peterson? It's made by the same guys that made Scarlet Maiden. It's the same
Yep.
dudes,
Mm-hmm.
and they're making a Pokemon game, which I believe has got to be one of the easiest games to make, and it's good. You forget that the characters are all just like horny animals, so the furries are gonna love this one.
Yeah,
And like
it looks
their moves, one of the main move, like one of the I wouldn't say main, one of like the basic early moves is just called Squirt, and like the little animation is like a pussy just like squirts on.
yeah,
the
these
other
guys
Pokemon.
are gross. Like, don't get me
They're
wrong.
very
Scarlet
horny
Maiden was
spirits.
gross.
Yeah, no, it's gross. But the balance of the game itself, like as a creature collector and a turn-based battler, spot on. Like the way when you battle people, just like the things that are spaced out. I've played a ton of creature collectors, and it's apparent that the people who made this also have.
Mm-hmm.
And the best part is there's like good humor in this. This game took it in stride that it's being gross. Like one of the so in Pokemon you could have your Pokemon hold a specific item, like hold one item that like buffs them. In this one, the same thing. But the item, like one of the items I had was called like the butt plug of memory or something, or the butt plug of experience, or like these. Oh, and then a chastity belt. One of my Pokemon was wearing a chastity belt that raised its defense stat. So like there's good humor in it. Like they're having fun with it. And it was actually a good game. I don't know.
Here's the humor of it, and I think we may have talked about this when we brought up Scarlet Maiden, but I paused it on this so I could see it on the video on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
There is a fight happening between Gloria,
who's
who
a
is
glory hole Pokemon.
Glory. She's holding just a wooden plank in
big
front of her face.
plank. Yeah.
And she's using the attack Rim Job on Lactina, who is a lady with gigantic boobs leaking milk. So
Yes.
Lactina, come on. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So these guys know what they're doing. They know what their game is.
Yes. And they're not like, dude, I don't know. And the fact they called it Spirit Valley, I'm like, you guys are,
Yep.
you guys knew.
Yeah, they're gross, but at least they're making a game that's fun and playable.
Yeah, it actually works. This is what I want. Like this is, I feel like what I went through this whole thing, which is just basically come around full circle to the one passable sex game you found when you went through this.
Yeah,
and it's by the same studio, and it's insane that these are the only guys that are filling this niche, which is to say like a sex game that's playable and fun. And there's like 3 of them on the entirety of Steam, and the rest is just like filthy garbage, visual novels, and like a shit ton more than should be socially acceptable rape-based games.
Yeah.
Throw it all out in the trash, dude. If you're not making Spirit Valley or better, get out.
So let me tell you this. This is what my plan originally was for this segment. I had a plan. It went by the wayside. I was like, I don't want to play these stupid sex games. Like, I know they're garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was going to play a bunch of demos that sounded like sex games, and I was going to be like, I played this game, but it wasn't sexy at all. Like, I don't know what they're thinking. So let me give you the names of some of these games. Okay. Devil's Slot Machine. Come on. If you're thinking dirty, that could be dirty. Okay. Goblington, like goblin.
Oh, definitely. Yes.
I did play that one. It was maybe, honestly, worse than the sex games that I played. It was pixel graphics, but so horribly done to the point where I couldn't tell what anything was. There was a dialogue box that was telling me to use keys 1, 2, or 3 on my keyboard. I could not. It took me 30 seconds to figure out that it said 1, 2, and 3. That's how bad the pixel graphics were.
Yeah,
it sucked. Let's see. Boned. It was a game called Boned.
Yeah.
A game you actually played for Next Fest called Strange Seed.
Oh yeah, that one's a good one.
That sounds like Boning Stranger.
Yeah, you're right. Spot on.
Let's see. Edge Islands. None of these are sex games. Waifu Survivors.
Okay.
Whip, but not too much.
Oh.
Not a sex game.
Yeah.
Slime Princess. That was kind of gross. Sensei, I Like You So Much. Trials of Innocence, Soulmates. I was gonna play non-sex games, act like they were sex games, and here's what happened. I downloaded 2 of them that, like, I thought the
They
names
were
were
so
funny.
terrible.
No. Well, the second one was terrible. The first one was completely in Japanese. There was no English option.
Oh.
Second one was terrible, and I was like, "Ugh, forget it. I'll just play a sex game." Oh, and there was another one called Dongwu, but I did play that one for my regular games.
I appreciate where your head was at.
I
It
was
would have
gonna
been
make
funny.
like a bit of it, and
Yeah.
honestly, it just didn't work. It didn't.
Well, instead we went down this path. We will never do Sext Fest again. Trust us. This was. I feel like this is. You guys are lucky.
Look,
We did this so you don't have to.
Jake
Because
got it out of his system. That's really
got
what
it out of my system. I just have been so curious. We joke about these sex games all the time on Steam, and I think it was overdue for us to like actually delve into the darkness.
we did. There were some highlights, right?
Mhm.
Sports girl running around like nonsense running was.
Oh, the
super
running,
funny.
the way the guy runs in Horny Housewives is similarly hilarious. His knees like go fully out. It's almost as if the person who programmed it had never either run themselves in their life or seen a human person run. Yeah,
Dude.
So that
So
was
there
fun.
are some highlights in there,
Yeah,
like
not
the
worth it,
boob
though.
physics on armor is so funny to me.
Yeah, like it would
but
be
yeah.
fun to stream this and like joke about it, but there's literally no platform to do that on other than like Pornhub. So
You just like
does
watch
Pornhub
them
have
on
like a
just-
live stream feature and I could just
You know
do
what? I
some-
don't want. Why would you? I don't want to be there. That's not a place I want to be.
So we don't need a Pornhub account for the 3 Bit Gamer Show.
Oh, we already have one.
All right. So that's it. We'll never do it again. I'm sorry you guys all had to listen to that. It was the worst for us too.
Dice of destiny.
Nope, not doing it this week.
I wasted all my time this week. I was supposed to pick a $60 horror game, and instead I played a bunch of garbage porn games.
But honestly, like Next Fest 2 does take a lot of time. Like, and it's not bad. Like I honestly have had an amazing time at doing Next Fest this year.
Yeah, the actual games. Yeah.
The real games. Yeah. So that took like all my game time. So we'll talk about that next week. And there's gonna be a big chunk of them. And there's a chunk that I hated, chunk that I liked. So honestly, so yeah, I don't blame you for not picking a game because this is a busy week with Next Fest. So you do a lot.
Yeah, I ain't got no time. So next week, which will be right before Halloween, I will have my cool horror game ready for you guys. And we'll go from there. So thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. I'm sorry.
Yeah, honestly, I just feel sorry. I'm going to put a huge content warning at the start of this
We
podcast.
finally did it. This is a big section of gaming that we don't dive into. We don't
ever have to do it again.
We hated it. It is on the Dice of Destiny still, so you might end up there, but
yeah, we have the games that we need that we can play for the Dice Destiny. It's all the same. It's that same company that made that one decent one.
Yeah.
All right, to play us out, we're still on it. We've got more hilariously named songs from the Age of Mythology soundtrack. This week, it's Flavor Cats.
I don't understand.
I don't know why they did this. I don't know why they named them.
Recap: 2 weeks ago, it was called A Cat Named Mittens. Then the next week, it was called Chocolate Outline. And then this one is called Flavor Cats. I don't know. But this is
That's it. That's what we got. All right, I'm JD logging off.
This is Peterson going AFK.
Hey, thanks to
Thanks for hopping on.
everyone.
Abby,
on.
Lanissa,
Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a real sex party.
Oh.